You can step in because
that's fine.
Knows that I don't have a budget for Zillow, and I've been afraid of even trying to find out.
You don't know unless you engage in a conversation, right? So every zip code costs different based on home values, the amount of leads that it generates on average, so on and so forth. So, definitely speaking with the Zillow expert, we're here to guide you in the right direction, because at the end of the day, if you're successful, I'm successful, and we're here to work together. Just a little bit about me. I've been with Zillow for 5 years. I started out cold calling, literally like walking into the office with a map of the United States and like closing my eyes and just deciding what zip code I'm going to call, and I just like blitzed down a list. Now what I do is manage the top 10% accounts at Zillow. So like big spenders, large teams, individual contributors, or people that have, or brokers that have 60 agents underneath them, and so I have about 150 accounts in the New York metro area. But as far as organizing your Zillow leads, we went over 3 different ways. One would be a CRM that you would pay for. Looks like you already provide conversion. Depending on the whether you're a team or an individual contributor, an individual person, wouldn't make sense to spend $2,500 a month on Boomtown. So you don't need a complex, CRM. You may spend, 50 to $100 on Follow Up Boss because it does what it needs to do for you. So depending on what your needs are, you would pay for a CRM to help, nurture your leads, whether it's text messaging, drip campaign, or so on and so forth. One that we have available to agents that are advertising on Zillow, we have the Premier Agent app. It's a basic level CRM, but it's continuously evolving as I continue to build relationships with my top spenders. The input, as far as what their needs are, will determine how fast we incorporate that into our CRM. But it literally is like at the palm of your hands, on the go. You can segment your leads, casually searching, actively searching, hot lead, So the one thing that I talked about is, even with my book of business, I have 150 clients. I segment my clients as A, B, C, and D. A, like hot, ready to go. These people are willing to, they're going to spend money because they're ready. They have a solid infrastructure, or they're building a team. They're going to buy more zip codes. They need to feed their agents. B, successful but not in growth mode. There's something stopping them, whether it's an agent that is really good at being an individual contributor, but maybe doesn't know how to manage a team. So that's something that I'm here to work with them to try to figure that out. So they're kind of like actively engaged with them, but they're not like ready to go just yet. Same thing with you guys, is maybe 6 months to a year down the road. And then I have my C leads where, they kind of get Zillow, but not really. It's going to take me a little bit of time to kind of get them to that next step. And so same thing with you guys, people that are maybe actively searching. And then for me, like D leads, they're going to cancel. They're like the dead leads for you guys. They're just not really serious, what have you. So for me, I'm a visual person. Color coding is huge. On an Excel spreadsheet, I want to, literally like have it pop up in front of my face and know exactly what I need to do. Everybody's different in that regards, as far as finding a system that's going to work for you. So what works for me may not work for you. So something as simple as an Excel spreadsheet. I think that's it, right? The CRM that Zillow has offered to you, the CRM and an Excel spreadsheet.
And I'm here for more support. Because I knew she was just going to put it out there.
All good.
So we're good.
Any questions?
Yeah, so your topic was how you can utilize Zillow and how you can track its metrics, correct? All right, so with Zillow, obviously, like you mentioned, every town or every zip code has different ratios of what they possibly can have in home sales, or how many leads you can expect. Can you talk more about that? Because I think that's what people don't know, that every zip code is not made equally. And just because it's more expensive doesn't mean it'll bring you more leads. Or just because it's cheaper means it's better, can you explain that?
Absolutely. So, let's just throw out an easy number, $500 budget, right? So you may, depending on what your level of expectations are. So if you say, I want to spend $500 in, let's say Clark, right? Or Westfield. They are more expensive zip codes. So your share of voice or your visibility in that zip code at that $500 budget may be at 20%. So that means on Zillow, you're being seen 1 out of 5 listings. So on a branding standpoint, you know, you want to be seen as many times as possible, because here's just an interesting stat for you is when the consumer goes on Zillow on average about 27 times within a 30-day time frame, and they actively search 77 listings. So as they're clicking on listing through listing to listing, if you're only being seen 1 out of 10 times, that frequency of lead flow isn't going to be as great as you being seen 1 out of 2 or every single time. So that's where that budget is going to allow you to kind of determine how many leads you want. Do you want a large flow of leads coming in? Are you okay with getting, you know, 5 to 10 leads a month? Just know that's going to be a longer sales cycle as far as converting that lead potentially, because it is a numbers game at the end of the day. So $500 in Westfield isn't going to generate you the same that $500 would in, let's say, Elizabeth, right? It may generate you, so for example, Fort Lee is a huge one. I had this conversation with one of my clients. You know, he wanted to be in like Englewood Cliffs. It's going to generate him 15 leads a month versus Fort Lee at the same budget, 90. So, you know, you kind of have to decide, you know, at the end of the day, what your expectations are with the platform. And then I can strategically make the right recommendation that fits your needs or your expectations. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Steph, thank God someone besides me.
So I had a Zillow account, and about a week ago, somebody from Zillow called me, and he mentioned that if there's, I don't know, you guys have a new platform where before, when I did have an account, I was a premier agent, and people would see you as much as you say, you know, for impressions based on the zip code. But now he's saying that they're going to be able to see only you for that zip code. And I was trying to understand how that works. If there's many of us paying for that same zip code, how am I going to be actually the only one they see besides everybody else? How would that work? Is there like a way more price on that, or how does that work?
Yeah, so it all depends. Like for me, because I do handle large accounts, VIP accounts, that feature is automatically given to them, given the nature of the level of spend. But depends on, you know, other advertisers, there may be an upcharge, you know, to get this feature. So this feature is called My Agent. And what it does is, you know, as you establish that connection with that consumer, so when a lead comes into your inbox, in the perfect world, you get to it right away, right? Because the consumer is actively engaged in searching for properties. 2 things, you want to get them while they're paying attention to Zillow and not on to the next thing that they need to do in life, because you're going to lose them, or stop them from clicking that contact agent button where it goes to like different agents, you know, off of different listings that they're clicking on. You want to stop them because you're the expert at the end of the day. So you're going to be able to tell them the same piece of information as all these other agents that may be reaching out to them, right? So when you establish that connection with the agent or with the consumer, you have the ability to send them this specific invite. And once they've accepted this invite for the next 360 days that they go on Zillow, in the zip code that you're advertising in, as well as your service areas, which is something, you know, I can talk to you guys about if you're interested, they will only see you alongside the listing agent on Zillow. So the point of that is to alleviate all the noise of duplicate leads and multiple submissions on Zillow, and it's for the consumer to come back and only see you, and it's supposed to help you get an idea or hone in on what their interests are or what their, you know, I guess qualifications are for that home. So that's what that My Agent does. So it's kind of like how you guys already do, where you guide them into like your own website or your own like MLS or some sort of source, because eventually they're going to go back to Zillow anyway. So it might as well as align with what you're already providing them with. So yes, it's supposed to prevent all the duplicate leads and all that noise and really only see you because they are actively working with you. Does that make sense? And I can walk you through this on the computer after. I'll show you.
Okay, Agnes, there was a feature that came out a while back, I'm not sure if it's still a thing, where instead of the agent just having a bio, the picture, I think they had a video bio as well. Do you remember if it was like a video ad is what it was called? Mm-hmm. Do you guys still do that, or was that,
yeah.
Do you feel that garners more leads to that specific agent because of that?
Absolutely. So again, it's like more of an emotional connection, right? Rather than looking at like a one-dimensional image, they get an idea of who you are as a person, and that may actually, kind of solidify their decision making or reason to reach out to you versus another agent. So it's only beneficial at the end of the day. It does no harm at all. And really, especially for your sellers, it's great for listing presentations. Your sellers want to know that like you're out there, you're spending a lot of money on the internet. What sets you apart from all these other agents? I mean, I can share some tips and tricks as far as what my most successful agents do to separate themselves and what they do to win a ton of listings. But we can talk about that.
You're not leaving until we find
all good.
So how big are reviews for real estate agents on Zillow? Does a realtor with more reviews get more leads?
No. Well, it depends on how, so just systematically, no, that doesn't favor.
Places? I mean, would people tend to click on an agent who has more leads than an agent who has less leads?
Absolutely.
Do consumers look at that?
Yeah.
When they have 4 agents lined up?
Yep. Again, you want to do whatever it takes to separate yourself from everybody else. So I'm assuming everyone understands Zillow, knows how it works and how the consumer navigates around the site. But let's just say, for example, you click on a listing. The listing agent will appear as well as 3 other premier agents. So if the listing agent doesn't really, they're not advertising on Zillow, they may have no reviews. You have one premier agent that maybe has 5 reviews, another one that has 20, but you guys, one person or maybe as a group collectively, have about 50. Well, naturally, psychologically, I'm going to gravitate towards that, and just out of curiosity, maybe click on that profile, and then that'll allow me to get a little more engaged depending on how much you have on your profile, whether it's listings, maybe you have about 20 listings or however many your firm has collectively, then I'll start shopping off of those listings, right? So yes, reviews, 100%. I do it on Amazon. I have a 13-month-old. You better believe I'm gonna read everything that every parent has to say about like the next toy I'm gonna buy or crayons or what have you. I do it when I'm visiting clients and I need to eat lunch somewhere. I'm gonna go on Yelp, or I'm gonna look at, other whatever other sites there are. There are like millions of apps for everything. The ones that have the most reviews are the ones that I'm going to be interested in to at least click on that. And then based on what I read, I'm going to determine whether or not that place is, something that I'm in the mood for. So absolutely.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right. I'll let you talk more about Zillow and what you could do. I'm going to pull something up that I want everyone to actually know you could do on Zillow, because not everybody understands that right from Zillow you can send your leads to your CRM.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm going to set that up so we can show them, but you can go ahead and keep talking about it.
So if you get a notification that a review has been posted, and I had asked you if it was a duplicate, because sometimes if they're a repeat client, you can't have 2 of the same person. So the new review will then override the original review.
Well, let me ask you this. If her mom, because if they live together, the mother and daughter, I don't know if the mother also wrote a review the same day, or maybe...
That could be the case, and we'll uncover that when I get a response from. Sure. They may actually say that could be the case.
But would you guys be able to repost something on one of them?
It depends. It's all situational. I'll let you know.
So now as like Zillow and a team, right? So let's say Harry and I have a listing together.
So it just went back up.
What?
Literally just went back up.
So you're good. So now it's on there.
Yeah, I'm cool.
Okay.
So when you have co-listings, right? How come
I pressed that magic button, by the way, Harry. Sorry.
Zillow doesn't let you do that?
You know what it was? I think that's what it was. I'm sorry. It's because I want other people to know this, because you would be upset if a review went up and then came down. This one's different. So I'm assuming the mother and daughter both wrote a review, and that's what caused the glitch.
Could be.
Because
Yep.
they're on the same Wi-Fi.
Yep. Yep.
Another Wi-Fi part.
Yep. Absolutely.
So
And you can send your clients like links. You can send your clients links via text, so they can just do it from their phone, like on the go. Like depending on, I mean, you're not going to send a text to maybe a 75-year-old person, or you may need to like walk them through step by step on how to do a review. But you can send them a text message with your link, and it's easy as that. Out of sight, out of mind, right then and there. Okay, go on, sorry.
It's okay. So I was saying, as far as if you're co-listing or co-selling sometimes, how come only one agent is able to claim that, or how come Zillow doesn't allow that?
I don't have an answer to that. I would assume there's some sort of, I'm assuming there's some sort of legality behind it, because otherwise if it was that easy, we would have already like developed that on our
We
end.
have a contract, so we have things in writing that prove that. So why would
That was
you
funny.
allow
I had
that
to
feature?
screenshot it. 'Cause
I don't have an answer for that. As of right now, it's only like one agent. Whoever's like the main person on the contract is the person that's going to be able to claim that, but yeah, it's been like that for a few years now, and
That's what I'm
we
saying,
don't
'cause now
have.
you're talking about teams, but then we're a team, and then
Totally.
I don't think it's
Absolutely.
going to the team.
Yeah, because I think it's fair too, because when you go for Circle of Excellence, they're going to split that unit if you split it.
Yep. No, I get it. I don't have an answer to that. That's something we've requested for that to happen for
You think
a few years now.
Happen, though, eventually?
We are, now that teams are more prevalent, more so now than ever, we are redesigning a lot of things to cater towards, teams. So could that be the case? I'll readdress it.
Yeah.
I've probably have brought it up about 20 times. I'll readdress it in my next mastermind meeting.
So could a team win a Circle of Excellence award? Like Boss Associates wins gold level?
Yeah, well, they do.
Well,
Yeah,
it's-
a lot of guys that reach platinum is because all the production from their team goes under them.
Right.
But would it be their individual names or would it be
Yeah,
the
their
team name?
individual name.
Individual names.
Because on the MLS, it doesn't go up as Boss Associates, it go up as Ana Gravetto. So it's still the person. But that's when you see a lot of these people claiming, oh, I did 500 transactions last year. It's not if their team did 500 transactions.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you can do that. I mean, you can have, you have your own Zillow
Yeah,
profile,
yeah.
and you can have all of your
Some brokerages are
agents.
like that. Yeah, some brokerages actually set up where all the business goes under the broker no matter what. But, obviously that's because they may have some kind of issue with ego, yeah.
Totally. However, Zillow does allow, so each of you can get your own reviews, past sales, your own listings, but then it'll mirror over to the broker profile. So everything that they do, they keep on their own page, continue to brand as individual contributors, but you as a broker,
Without taking anything away from them.
without taking anything away from them. Even if, like, let's say Anna were to, just saying, were to leave and go work for another firm, during that time of when she worked for you, those reviews and sales will still remain under you,
As they
but they'll
should,
also
because
carry with
broker
it.
And whoever the agent is.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So you guys can collectively build your brand. I mean, especially under you. And we'll talk about that after. And I'm here to help you guys. Like, if you don't have a Zillow profile, I'm here to get that going for you or help you out with that. As far as like needing help, I mean, there's so many like tips and tricks as far as maximizing your presence on Zillow, even when you're not advertising or spending your, money. Video walkthroughs, like through the app, like do the video walkthrough, like quick 10-second scan of the front of the property that brings your listing to the top of the page. Statistically, 300% more traffic. Like, that's just what your sellers want to hear.
Yeah.
That could potentially generate additional leads that end up in your inbox. Use that to your advantage, especially in your listing presentation.
So like the videos that we did, I sent you my bio, right? Were you able to put that up?
The video I had an issue with, but I did send that over to support, so
Okay, so
I'm on it.
When they click on your profile, they can click on that video, it'll come up, right there?
Yeah, it'll come up like on the side. So there's a paid subscription to have like this massive video, and it's called Premier Agent Direct. So, you know, we send out a production crew to do a video, whether it's like your team or just individually with your clients. We do the editing, and you get to keep it towards your other marketing avenues. But we do place that video on your main profile page. It's pretty massive. And then you can showcase your listing on like the listing page. So it's just enhancing your listings or enhancing your brand, being in the forefront of the consumer's mind, because you're literally like right there. It also retargets the consumer's behavior, search behavior on Zillow over to Facebook. So your listing or listings or your brand or your most recently sold, depending on if the consumer was searching on Zillow as a buyer or seller, as if you and I are friends on Facebook, would pop up on my newsfeed. And if I were interested, I can click on that. It re-navigates me back to Zillow to your exclusive landing page. And then you can use enhanced videos, professionally made videos, and link them to your listings, and that brings it to the top of the search order.
So that is through the paid account, or what can you through the like free, like the Premier Agent regular one?
So there's
is there like a limit to the video, like, or like the amount of minutes you can actually record a video about?
It's a 2-minute video. I mean, that's the most, as far as like, you don't want it too long. The consumer's not going to be that engaged. I mean, they typically stay on for like 30 seconds to a minute, and then, you know, yeah, 2 minutes is like max. And that is a paid service, but, you know, it's a great branding tool, great for winning listings. People have won listings, you know, and I can share, you know, some great stories with my clients as far as like, yeah.
So what would you suggest with someone maybe that doesn't have a ton of money, but to start beefing themselves up a little bit on Zillow, besides all the other platforms? What would you say to suggest to get the most for your buck to do?
It depends on your budget, right? Because if you're going to tell me I want to spend $100 on Zillow, I'm going to say, okay, let's wait on that, right? Let's get a game plan going. Let's have a 3 to 6 month goal here. Get a few closings under your belt or what have you, and take a percentage of you know what you make off of your closing, and let's allocate that money in. Or I can share video walkthroughs, you know, YouTube videos, right? You sent me a video. We're going to get that on there. There's you can have an email blast sent out to your clients that have saved your listings, right? And I'll show that to you guys, you know, as far as where you can see how many people have viewed your listings, how many people have actually saved that listing. So there's few like back end like things you can finagle with that will shoot a weekly or manually a weekly reminder to those consumers, and keep your listing in the forefront of their, you know, of their minds.
Like a minimum budget that you would need to.
It depends. It really depends. Because if you're going to tell me like, hey, I want to like heavily advertise in Clark, and I say you got to spend at least $1,000 to $1,500 a month if you want to be relevant, right? Or you can say, hey, my budget's $250. Well, we can look at, you know, certain areas, but it's based on what your expectations are.
And you would suggest to pick one area, right? To dominate?
To start off, and again, it all depends on the budget. Like if you guys have deep pockets and you're like, I want to spend $5,000 a month, I'm gonna say, yeah, let's look at a couple of different areas. You know, maybe one high end, and then have a few like middle road zip codes. So while you're trying to get in front of, you know, a different audience, you know, certain zip codes can kind of work together off of each other to where you're not sitting there spending money month after month and not really generating or gaining that much traction, because there is a method behind the madness. So it all depends. It really all depends on your budget.
But you will see something from that.
What?
You will see something from that. Like
100%. Absolutely. And again, it really is a matter of expectations, because if you're looking to get a closing your first month, or, you know, looking to find, it's advertising, right? Things there's a reason why Pepsi and Coca-Cola still make commercials. They don't really need to, but they do to just be relevant, right? But things don't happen overnight. So you have to, it's finances, money is a very emotional thing. You have to prepare yourself that maybe for the first 4 months, you're not going to recoup that money, but you will.
You just got to keep putting it out.
You just have to keep, it snowballs, right? And you have to, it aligns with the consumer's buying cycles. And as long as you're setting up appointments, that's the biggest thing. That's the first thing I ask all my clients, like any new clients that I inherit. Are you at least setting up appointments? Because it is a numbers game.
What do you mean setting up appointments?
Showings, setting up appointments to show homes. And then after that, if they tell me, well, then they disappeared. Okay, well, let's talk about what's your conversation like with the consumer? Are you building value, right? So there's a lot of things that come into play as to why someone will see success on our platform and why somebody won't. Because you have people out there that'll hand their credit card and expect it to do magic. That's not how it works.
Agnes, I think we're going to have you back a second time to get some more great tips from you.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of questions. Harry could just ask you questions for an hour by himself.
Yeah.
So many things that even I, have noticed that I would like more clarification on.
Yep.
And just to let you guys know, when I was producing, I had a Zillow account in there, and I did a lot of testing. And it's expensive to test on Zillow because you're in for 6 months. So you want to have a good rep and have a good conversation with somebody that knows what you're looking for. Because just like she said, I went in too light on a town like Cranford, and I didn't get one lead in 6 months because I went in too light. The same budget I had for Union meant nothing in Cranford. And there was too many people with premier accounts in Cranford. What that means, if you want to explain, is that anybody that's a premier agent and they put out a property, it doesn't have the 4 people lined up next to it anymore. It only has that agent. Am I correct?
It depends. If you're grandfathered into that feature, we no longer offer exclusive featured listings where there's just one agent. And Cranford, Westfield,
I got a couple $100 I want to give you before you leave for that grandfathered option.
But that's where the My Agent feature that I talked about, where you're the only agent that will appear alongside a listing agent. That's really going to help, help in regards to that. But
so things have changed. You guys are
things do.
What's going on?
Yep, absolutely. We evolve.
Okay.
We continue to align with your business
real quick,
model.
Guys, I want everyone to pay attention. Whoever is texting or doing something else, I want you guys to pay attention for 1 second. So your conversion account, if you go to your name, all right, on your conversion account, guys, when you click on your name and you go down to My Settings, you're going to see a page that looks like this. If you scroll down, you're going to see something that says Zillow Tech Connect ID. You see it here?
Yeah.
All you guys need to do is copy and go to your Zillow account where it says Account under your Agent Hub. Okay? Once you're in Account, you need to go where it says Connect to My CRM. Once you connect to your CRM, you can go in here and add a partner and then just put in your activation code and you're good to go. What that means is now all your leads that come in through Zillow
will
go to conversion, and conversion will start communicating with them instantly. And they'll already be in there. Before you know it, you'll have a whole bunch of leads in there that are being converted by the system alone. Obviously, it's your job to call them, but at least they'll get an immediate contact from someone.
Does it you still have to alert them and put them in, plug them in, or
no?
It's automatic.
They're already in.
Wow.
Automatic.
It's all done. All right. So anyone who hasn't done this yet, please do so. Yeah. And then also, is Hugo still here? Or Hugo went upstairs? Hugo said that a lot of you guys don't have your email addresses registered with Zillow, which means that your MLS listings will not be featured on Zillow because it's probably not putting 2 and 2 together. Is that correct?
Correct.
Where would they go to do that? Is that something wrong with their MLS or something wrong with their Zillow account?
It would be, a couple of things. So you would have to opt into having a feed go into Zillow or other sources in your MLS. And if you log into your Zillow profile, whatever your login is the email address that should be linked to, it should be the same email address that you have in your MLS. And so where you would go to change that is an account.
Account? Okay.
And then you can edit email.
can you add additional manage email?
Or you can add additional as well, and then that will also pull your listings.
All right, guys. So if you're now for because we have a lot of new agents, so anybody that's transferred over from other offices and they're still using their generic email address, and now they have their culture estate email address on the MLS, your properties are not going to be showing up. So please make sure you do that. Okay, Agnes, you've been tremendous. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Thanks.